is cut to Mulan 2020 is cut to ribbons for a Chinese movie. The kung fu is terrible, you know.
A Chinese movie that cost $200 million to make has bad kung fu.
Has bad kung fu, you know. It's ridiculous.
What are we doing here?
But just like bad fight scenes in general. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Straight to Series podcast. My name's Connor.
And I'm Ian.
And welcome to this episode's podcast.
It's a safe place.
It is a safe place. This is a safe place.
Listen to how calm we are right now.
I know, we're so calm.
It's gonna all kick off.
It's gonna kick off. I'm so excited. No, so
we got a juicy episode today.
This is a topic that's excited. This is a topic that we've kind of been sitting on because of, you know, a certain unnamed pandemic.
And it was uncomfortable to sit on because I needed to get these words out.
It was. And even when we were doing our research, like watching clips before this thing, we were getting really amped up, ready to talk about it. In fact, the movie that we already thought was bad got worse when we watched it together.
Yeah. But it was fun.
It was fun.
Because we just ragged on it.
It was the most I've ever enjoyed that movie. Anyway, the two things we're going to talk about is we're going to do, like last week, a direct comparison between Mulan 1998 and Mulan 2020.
Mulan versus Mulan.
Oh my god. Now, I know you're not supposed to pit women against each other. They're supposed to uplift each other, but...
No, you throw some mud on that. You got yourself a feast.
You got yourself a feast and a bit of entertainment. Get a bit of mud on there.
That sets the tone.
Yeah, I think that does, yeah. Forget what I was going to say. Throw some mud in it and get them fighting. And then we're also going to talk about The Nobody, the movie.
Oh, the movie Nobody, which we only recently watched. It's been out for a while. In America, it's been out for quite some time.
Yeah, and we had to pay for it over here and rent it on our devices.
And it was like premium renting.
It was. I wanted to own it, but I had to rent it because you
premium
can't own...
VOD.
Yeah, it was...
PVOD.
And I had to obviously get it in HD because why would I watch it in standard definition?
You're not a fool.
I'm not a fool, and don't treat me like one, okay? And the last two topics, we're gonna go back to the Motu Reservations universe and talk about how Kevin keeps on lying to us.
Kevin's doubling down, and goddamn, it's getting poisonous at this moment.
If you learned anything from our last episode, say with me, and don't trust Skinny Kev. Never trust Skinny Kev.
Or any Skinny Kev, for that matter.
Any Skinny Kev, yeah. Only fat Kevs. Sorry, plus size Kevs are trustworthy.
And fat Kevs.
Yeah.
And then we got another little bit of juicy juice going on.
Kind of like...
It's too juicy. This episode's a bit too juicy.
It is a bit too juicy.
A splash warning.
A mud splash warning.
Yeah. Oh, a mud splash warning. Yeah. Because everyone listening or watching, you're in the splash zone right now.
You are in the splash zone right now.
And you're going to be soaked.
You're in the STS splash zone. Yeah. But Scarlett Johansson sued...
Is suing
currently suing our future overlords Disney, and
the Mouse House.
It kind of like dropped in our lap this morning.
We're like, what the fuck? And we'll get to it, but like it reverses everything that I thought was going on between the loving relationship between Kevin Feige, Marvel, Disney. And Scarlett Johansson and the whole Black Widow.
It's like, you know, that couple you see across the road and you're like, oh my god, they're such a great couple, and then a few days later
drinks.
Let's go back to Mulan.
Jump a bit of mud on
that. No, so Mulan versus Mulan. So Mulan 2020 came out during the pandemic.
It was the first premium access release.
Yeah.
I'm nearly 100% on that. I'm like, I would say 92.5%.
No, it definitely was, because we were ragging on it for being like...
Also, it was a lot of like, are they going to do that? This cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. And clearly it must have been somewhat of a success financially because they've been doing this now for other movies, including Black Widow. Which we will get to.
Oh my god, it all ties in. I didn't even think of this. Yeah.
Today actually came out. That dates this episode. Yeah, Jungle Cruise came out today.
Plus the Black Widow news dates this episode.
Yeah, true.
We date this episode. Yeah. I date this episode.
My hairline dates this episode.
Oh, no.
But anyway, it came out in 2020 and both of us did not pay for it
No.
or illegally stream it. I was fine with waiting another few months for it to be free on Disney Plus.
Because I am opposed to paying for it in any capacity.
Oh yeah, I won't. Now that say Jungle Cruise is out in the cinema as well, like I'll happily go to see that in the cinema.
Yeah.
Also, it's a very cinematic type of movie. It's big budget.
Yeah,
you would think that with Mulan, and we'll break that down.
It's like it's supposed to be the like Mummy, the Pirates of the Caribbean. Like this feels like this is the next one.
Adventure movie,
yeah.
kind of old school.
Exactly.
Like Indiana Jones vibes to it.
Yeah. You know, it's got The Rock. It's got Emily Blunt. It's got what's his name?
Jack Whitehall.
Jack Whitehall. Nice.
Whitehall as well.
I was gonna say Jack.
I feel like
Churchill.
Peter Stormare is in that as well.
Peter Stormare is in that.
I think I could be totally wrong. I'm gonna back out of that already. Boop, boop, boop,
I love
That's
Peter
me
Stormare.
walking away from that.
I said, cut off your Johnson. Great line
But anyway,
from Big Lebowski.
Mulan versus Mulan.
Mulan versus Mulan.
We were trying to break it down there. We watched clips from both movies.
Yeah. So even to just go back to our first reactions to it when we watched it, like I remember when I saw this movie when it was free on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I mean, not free; it's a subscription service. But when you didn't have to pay extra for it,
yeah.
I remember watching it and immediately thinking, "This is worse than the old Mulan."
I remember my initial response was, "Thank God, I did not throw some cash at this." Honestly, I actually felt that, and I was like, "I'm glad I watched it at home and didn't go to the cinema because I would have paid to go see that in the cinema if COVID didn't exist."
Yeah, exactly.
Because like I love the first movie, the original movie.
Yeah. What's the word we're not supposed to say? Is it
bitch?
The beer? Yeah, that too. Well, there's another one that's like that.
For which?
Courage.
Courage.
Yeah. See you next Tuesday. You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. But when I can't even remember what I was going to say now.
When it first came out, like I'm glad I didn't go and watch this in the cinema because I would have been really let down.
Well,
even the best popcorn couldn't have saved my cinematic experience because I love the original movie so much.
Yes, exactly.
And I was just like,
yeah.
Oh, it tastes like cardboard.
It does. And because of that, it spurred us on to watch the original movie, and we realized it was much worse. So we kind of came to this agreement.
As in, like, the 2020 version is even worse. Once you compared it to side by side, you're like, oh my God.
They don't even hold a candle to it. And which is very interesting because it is a movie that you would think has progressive messages and is woke, and in 2020 they had made a better version of this movie in 1998, which is, you know, the dark ages in terms of woke times. You know,
asks way more interesting questions about sexuality, and we can get into that, but also just even the message is way more clearer and less toxic, funny enough. And even though that's what they're trying to battle right now with woke culture and cancel mania going on at the moment.
Back in you know, when I first watched this movie, back when I first watched this movie in the early 2000s, the only thing related to toxic was Britney Spears, you know?
Yeah. And God, I love that.
Yes, exactly, yeah. But now, like you didn't know these words like toxic masculinity and woke culture and all this stuff, like, so you would expect a Mulan movie to be made in this time to be, you know, pretty progressive and woke,
and even provocative. You know, we go, oh, okay, that asks some good questions there. That's complex. That's nuanced. And it's none of the above. Like, we actually tried to break down what like the message of the original was, and then what we got from the new one. Like what message we could kind of decipher, because it's very muddy.
It is
very muddy.
So back in the 1998 one, was starring Ming-Na Wen, a national treasure. You know, she's the best.
It's weird that she only has a cameo in the 2020 version.
Yeah.
Because goddamn, she is soft on the eyes.
She is. And she's just great in everything she's in. Like, in The Mandalorian, she plays like a side character in the first one. Now she's mates with Boba Fett and everything. And it's like, I just want to see more of her.
I can't stand Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've tried.
Yeah.
I've tried many times.
Yeah.
But I like her in it.
I watched so much Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I got so far into that.
I couldn't. I fucking tried. I wanted to just get the Ghost Rider. That was my whole thing. It's like, I heard Ghost Rider's cool. I heard it's a different version.
Yeah. Robbie Reyes. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You know, it's good and then it's bad. And when it's bad, it's really bad. Ming-Na Wen is
cool.
She's consistent. And she's always been great. But she's especially great in Mulan. And we wrote down like what the key messages you get from that movie, or at least that we take away from it.
And they're very standard, but they're done in, as I said, like a nuanced way where you're like, okay, that's heavy actually.
Yeah, so it's all about like equality. You know, you shouldn't discount someone because of their gender.
Like that's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah,
you shouldn't discount someone because of their gender.
And all the characters learn that and see that basically. And
women can be strong too.
Yeah.
And you don't even need to be super physically strong as well. Like maybe just a little bit of thinking.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly.
Let's just calm ourselves down for a second and approach this problem without trying to punch the problem.
Well, that's it. For a 1998 movie, it criticizes the male mindset of let's just brute force this whole thing.
And no, does it in a nice way though, where you're not like, I fucking hate myself because I'm a man. You know, like you're actually just going, this is a good movie, but also there's. Sorry to cut you off but there's like a lot of those messages that they say as well is almost gender neutral too.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh, like some hard work, perseverance, like you get something from it. Like Mulan has to work hard to keep up with the boys.
She is clumsy at the beginning of the movie. Like one of her character traits is she doesn't fit in. She's clumsy. She's awkward.
Adorable.
Adorable. Truly adorable. And just immediately a likable person. Yeah. Do you know why? Because she has flaws. That's why.
She has flaws.
She has flaws. She's not perfect.
No, not even close.
No, and the movie makes a point of showing that, you know, through the best song in the whole thing, in my opinion, Be a Man, sung by Donny Osmond playing an Asian guy. But listen, 1998, okay? It's not all perfect. But anyway, she learns and grows in that song. And it does show that, like, yeah, you have to work at being better, which is something that modern movies, especially when it comes to female characters, are afraid to show at all.
It's so fearful now.
Yeah.
It's like a minefield.
Yeah.
And this is just such a perfect example, as I'm saying, of like, I know like it's very specific to her gender. She's a woman trying to make it in what like is viewed as a man's game, you know, being a strong warrior. There's also just a message of like anyone should just put hard work into something if they want to get
better
progress in it, you know, and get better, you know, and to be recognized.
Yeah, exactly.
And she does that, like the whole montage would Be a Man.
Yeah,
like it's an excellent montage. Also, you can kind of see why the movie's so short, because like that's a huge thing.
That's
in,
a huge span of time. Yeah. But like it's perfect for an animated movie because you set that to a song and it's an 80s montage, you know?
Boom, perfect.
Yeah. But like there's even just great imagery, and it's like it's a much darker film than you think it's going to be. Like there are some really mature moments in it, and as well as that, like this is years later, and like you wouldn't think about this as a child, but when we were looking back on this and looking at reviews of Mulan 1988, super important to the LGBTQ plus community. Yeah.
By Erasure?
By Erasure? Yeah, Mulan 2020.
Someone owns a modern dictionary.
By Erasure much, Mulan 2020? I'll let you normies look that up.
But no. That is such a complex question.
Yeah.
Where her commanding officer is like, that guy looks pretty. Yeah. And I'm a straight dude. And like let's not argue. Yeah. He's clearly a straight guy who's now suddenly having feelings for a pretty man.
Yeah.
And that's not me trying to be like, he's a man's man.
No,
but like he is like confused. He's confused.
Exactly.
And I think that's done in such a good way where like it's not saying okay he's gay. It's not even saying that he's bisexual. It's saying he has questions.
He has questions.
He's definitely questioning his sexuality for a minute.
And there's nothing.
He's like, God, that guy looks pretty.
And there's nothing wrong with this strong commanding officer having these questions either. Like the movie doesn't play it like it's something wrong.
Moves. She makes the moves.
She makes the moves.
She makes it known.
And you can tell he likes it as well. Like there's one stage where she's leaving the tent and she's like, I think you're a good commander. And he looks back and his face is like, what? But then at the same time, he's kind of like,
thank you.
He's like, this is, you could just see it's played really well for like an animated movie. Plus, you know, the three sidekick characters, I don't know their name, but they like dress up as women in the end, and they solve the problem by cross-dressing and everything. And that's and in Mulan,
it is just played for laughs. It's not trying to be like, oh, now they're cross-dressers, but still, like it's just like she has opened their mind where when she first meets them, they're like gay.
Yeah,
you know, without using that term, but they're just like that. I ain't doing that.
They're like bros, basically.
bros.
But that's because that's
masculine.
Yeah, but that's only because that's what they think they have to be in the army
and to win.
And Mulan shows them. I mean, she's cross-dressing throughout most of the movie as well.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Yeah, one of the
strapping those double D's down, hiding them.
Yeah. And
like Princess Leia.
Like Princess Leia, yeah. There's no bras in space.
No, but there's tape.
Exactly. But yeah, like there's a lot of
new boobies down. Just to be clear, like she actually had to do that.
She did, yeah. But like, there's a lot of great messages in Mulan 1998, like more so than you think, because as a kid you just see the movie and you're like, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
But there is actually a lot of really good messages, so much so that when we get into it, but I would, if I have my kids, like I would show them that Mulan and probably not the other one.
No, definitely not. And I think the messages that may have gone over my head have now been highlighted by how bad the new movie is.
So we're gonna get into it now. So like we said, we tried to figure out what the message of was it. So for 1998 we said it all. Like there's so many of them, we probably missed some as well, because like
I'm an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm a man's man.
Yeah, I'm a straight man, but maybe I'll have feelings for a guy who looks like a girl, maybe, and I'll question them and I'll feel weird about it. But the 2021, you really struggle to find what it's about.
Well, let's talk about the power of femininity. Femininity. She's got super duper powers.
She has superpowers from the age of 10.
Well, at least we see her. Like, I think she was born with these. She karate chopped her way out of that vagina. She's got super chi.
Yeah.
She's got chi, but plus like 15. Like, she's super duper chi. So we get to see this girl at 10 years of age being amazing.
Yeah.
She's doing backflips. She's doing all these just these feats that are excellent. You're like, whoa, she is a superhero.
Yeah.
And everyone looks down on her in the town because they can't comprehend her greatness. And like, I mean, there's nothing else about it. Like, if you look at it, you're like, she is so great. Their feeble minds can't comprehend
how great this woman is.
Like, what a struggle. I'm actually just too great for the people I'm around.
That's going to make me connect with a character, because I've always felt that I'm much greater than everyone around me, and people don't realize it,
Feminism, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, that's not feminism.
It's a terrible message for...
Like, you can achieve everything you want to achieve as long as you're a superhero.
Yeah, as long as you're a superhero.
You got super duper chi.
Like
what is... Like, when you just say that out loud, like, what? Who? When they were writing that? Like, who said that?
That's it. And throughout the whole movie...
Like, that's great. Let's run with that.
Throughout the whole movie, they play into this thing. Like, she has this chi. And the more... When she hides as a man, it suppresses her chi because she's hiding her true self.
And she still has to downplay her skills anyway.
She has to downplay how...
And her strength.
Her strength. But that's the thing, like, it's all about strength at the end of the day. Like, she doesn't outthink anyone, really, Let's be clear, like, when she joins the army, she's better than probably her mentors, as well as, like, her other soldier friends, you know that way? Like, she's already better than them. Yeah. Like, in 1998, she is a woman who is not as physically strong as all these burly men who are fecking after fighting. They're like scrapping all the time, and she has to work on that. But those burly men have no skill as well at the same time.
But they're stronger. They're like burly men.
Yeah, and they pick on her.
And she has to get stronger and train.
Yeah.
Which is the way it should be for anyone anyway.
Yeah.
Character.
She has to grow as a person to become better.
No, she's better than everyone.
Yeah.
She's better than even her commanding officer.
And she has to pretend who's Donnie Yen, by the way, who's just criminally underused throughout the whole movie.
And when he's doing some cool shit, they cut it up to pieces like it's a Taken movie.
Look, we're still on themes at the moment, but this movie is cut to pieces. Mulan 2020 is cut to ribbons. Cut to ribbons. For a Chinese movie, the kung fu is terrible.
A Chinese movie that cost $200 million to make has bad kung fu.
Has bad kung fu, It's ridiculous.
What are we doing here?
But just like bad fight scenes in general. Like, how many talented Chinese actors out there who can do martial arts, who can do all these stunts.
Men as well.
And you know what? Probably a few of them worked on this movie, but you cut it to pieces. You can't see anything.
Nothing's highlighted. Yeah, but let's get back to themes.
Yeah, it gets back to themes. So, like, the only real messages in Mulan 2020 is... It's not even like, don't discount someone because of who they are or their gender. It's don't discount someone because they might have superpowers. Don't discount someone if they definitely for sure have superpowers that you've seen. Then you should probably listen to them.
And also, what's so horrible is watching the female bad guy who's a witch, and how, because like, it's like, I would say it's like toxic femininity, where like, this is like literally what you're battling against when it comes to equality.
Yeah.
Like, they try to explain to us why this female witch who is killing people, they show in the movie, like right at the start, we see her like helping these other the men get into the town, like the bad squad.
Yeah, exactly. The bad guys. She helps them.
But so you don't see her kill people, but it's like it's kind of implied earlier on in the movie. But then you see her actually like killing innocent people, and also like these towns are full of men, women, and children, and she's got blood all over her hands.
Yeah,
and they explain it as, well, she wants to be witch and proud.
Yeah.
So she wants to walk on a land where everyone just accepts that she's a witch.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about how, like, well, you know, like superheroes hide their identities too, like they hide their powers. So I don't think it's that big of a deal for you to not use magic all the time. And so she wants to kill until she gets what she wants.
Until she gets what she wants.
And then we're supposed to be like, yeah, but see, they're not accepting her.
But that's the thing. It's she wants to kill to get what she wants, because she has this warped idea where she needs to carve out a world for her. But the movie doesn't have the backbone to make her the main villain. They have to make her sympathetic.
And okay, if everyone's saying to me that, like, okay, you're just a misogynist prick, right? See, what I explained. Yeah. Make her a wizard.
Yeah.
Make her a wizard. I'm doing a Matthew McConaughey now. Yeah. You know, imagine that girl's white. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But imagine that's a wizard. So imagine that's a guy.
Instead of a witch, it's a wizard.
So it's a man going around with magic powers, and he's like, well, do you know what? If no one, like, I want to kill everybody until I get what I want, which is a place where I can walk wizard and proud, and no one gives me any shit. I'm like, okay, but you're going to kill your way to the top. Like, what?
Yeah, there's no redemption for that character at the end of that script.
And then at the end of the script, the witch sees Mulan lead an army, like she's leading a death squad against the bad guys. Okay, they're the good death squad. Okay,
yeah.
And she goes, oh, a woman can lead an army of people who are going to kill other people.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that a woman could do that in a good way. So now I'm redeemed because you've changed my mind.
Yeah.
And then she kamikazes, jumps in front of an arrow, which we'll get into, but like, her powers have been established that she could easily stop that arrow anyway. But she jumps in front of it and dies, and she dies a hero, and Mulan mourns her.
We're supposed to feel sad about it because society made her a villain?
And society didn't make her a villain as such. Like,
she came to the wrong conclusions, really. Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
We've seen her kill people. And it's also here, like, whoever wrote this movie, you're just showing that she becomes a good guy because she's attracted to power again. Yeah. She's seen Mulan, like, oh, so I can only be a good guy if I see a person like me, I guess, because Mulan's also not just a woman, but super chi.
Yes,
so she's kind of like a witch almost in her own way.
And that's the thing, like, the idea of having a counterpart on the villain side who has the same powers and is struggling with similar issues to Mulan is not an inherently bad idea.
No, not at all.
In the script. In fact, you can add a lot of nuance to it, except this movie has no nuance, really.
None.
Yeah.
And then we're supposed to be like, oh, well, she's a hero. Like, she only became good because she was attracted to power, but in a good way.
Yeah.
You know, well, is it on the good side?
On the good side.
But still, like, she wants to lead an army who's killing people.
Well, yeah, she thought she could only achieve it through the bad way. And then when she saw she could do it through the good way, she went, switch sides! Switch sides! I switch!
All this blood, it's gone now.
Yeah, it's gone. It's washed. She's washing it off her hands.
Lady Macbeth has nothing on me. It's washed. It's gone.
Daniel Craig's coming in.
It's gone. Fairy liquid. It's gone.
She's trying to put her fingers in Daniel Craig's mouth so he can lick the blood off, and he's like, I'm not doing it.
I don't want none of this.
I don't want nothing to do with that. He's just putting Eva Green's fingers in his mouth.
Two fucking and her toes.
Yeah.
Do you have blood on these? No.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Just in case.
So, like, we don't understand that message too. Like,
and we might as well talk about her death scene because.
But can we even say that? Imagine a kid watching that and trying to understand it, whereas, like, I've just seen this person, like, they show her killing people, not only helping the bad guys get into these towns and, like, rape and pillage, I assume, but also we see her kill people, also innocent people, who's only trying to protect the men, women, and children who are completely innocent in different towns. Just like, and sorry as well, she doesn't want to just become a good guy and be like growing vegetables. Like
no.
a farmer. Like, she wants to...
She wants to rule. It is heavily implied that she wants to rule everything.
Sorry, I'm talking over you, but...
No.
I'm very passionate about this because I don't understand it.
Yeah, no, we don't understand. Like, neither of us understand it. And the fact, like, we watched it before this and our opinions were only intensified watching it over and over again because it really it is such a strange piece of media because it is so much worse than 1998. Like,
the messages especially.
And we're going to talk about her. We're just talk about her death scene. Like, she's killed by the main villain trying to protect Mulan. Okay, fine. Like, I understand what you're trying to do, but that scene in itself is terrible. You see Mulan running up. She's face to face. The witch is face to face with the villain. The villain points the bow at her, turns to Mulan. She sees him.
He points at the witch.
He points at the witch. Yeah. Turns it to Mulan. She sees him, points at it. She's standing as close as we are, almost.
I would say at most 4 feet away. Yeah. At most.
And she doesn't push him. She doesn't.
Like, you have time.
You have time.
He stutters for a second. He's like, hey, look, I'm going to do it.
I'm going to get her.
I'm going to shoot this arrow.
And she doesn't push him. She doesn't knock the bow. She doesn't do an ability we have dubbed multi-bird, where she can turn into multiple birds that make her invincible.
And you might think 10 birds.
Yeah, no.
We're talking like 500 birds here.
We're talking multi-birds.
We want to pause it and count how many birds, because it's impressive how many birds this woman can turn into.
Dare you. The first person to tell us how many birds she turns into gets... nothing.
A call out.
A call out. Yeah. Gets a call out. Why not? But yeah, like, she can do this ability and she becomes invincible during that. But no.
Oh yeah, we've understood that she is completely invincible because we see these birds die and she's not injured.
Yeah, in the slightest. Yeah.
Because I would assume, just from being a nerd and watch so many movies with witches and vampires and shit like that, it's like, if you turn into many animals, and one of them dies, it takes a piece of you with it.
Yeah, it damages you in some way, but no, this movie says no.
This woman will be an amputee, the amount of birds that die.
Exactly. But she instead dives before he shoots.
So she had time to dive.
She had time to dive.
And transform.
He turns into a bird, the bow is shot, then it's the bird flying, then it cuts back to him looking, then it cuts to Mulan running, then it cuts to the arrow flying, and then the bird gets in the way.
Gets it in the back.
And we're supposed to go, oh no.
She saved Mulan.
She's dead. Gong Li, the actress as Zhuan Ying, is dead. No. I just read that from the Wikipedia.
Nice though, you did that.
Thank you.
Pretty smoothly.
I had to speak slowly. But yeah, like the movie's cut to pieces, and it's just a bad.
The death scene makes no sense.
The death scene makes no sense.
Don't establish one thing, and then just laugh at us in the next scene and be like, oh yeah, you know that kind of mythology I just gave you.
None of the fight scenes are good though, and like Donnie Yen is doing his best.
But you know they only had 200 million.
They only had 200 million.
200 million.
It's a 200 million. Like,
can you imagine the salaries they could offer the best Chinese kung fu actors out there? Can you imagine?
But they had Jet Li and Donnie Yen in this.
Oh, but they didn't use them.
They didn't use them.
And anytime Donnie Yen's being cool, they're like, cut.
Yeah.
Like, we know 100% that Donnie Yen can do that shit.
Yeah.
And I was saying to you, it's not like Taken, especially like Taken 2 and Taken 3, where we see Liam Neeson. We see the back of a stuntman running. We see Liam Neeson's face approaching a fence. Then we see the back of a stuntman climb up on the fence. Then we see Liam Neeson's face up on the top of the fence, but obviously he's just standing on a step ladder. And then we see the back of the stuntman jump down. And then we see Liam Neeson go, ugh. And then we see the back of a stuntman run off.
And
that's cut to pieces. They do that hack job to Donnie Yen when he's doing all his sword play. I'm like, but we know 100% that he can do that.
You can leave that camera running just on Donnie Yen for 5 minutes,
and I won't blink. Because I'll miss something great.
Exactly, and he'll just work with it. And I'm sure a lot of the actors in the movie probably could do that as well, and they're just not given the opportunity to.
Those tasty salaries that you could offer people.
Yeah, like, I implore all of you to watch this movie and tell me where the 200 million went. Tell me where it went.
I have a feeling there's another cut of this movie that's way longer.
Yeah?
Because I don't know where that... Like, I really don't know where that 200 million went.
Yeah.
The action scenes are terrible. It was supposed to be this big, epic movie.
Yeah.
It feels tiny.
It does, and
even on the battlefield,
it was supposed.
It's such a tiny battlefield.
It was supposed to be like realistic, and it just wasn't. Like, it's just not a realistic war movie at all. They were like, no, there's not going to be any Mushu, which is the Eddie Murphy dragon, who's amazing in 1998
Eddie
movie.
Murphy.
He kills it because he's Eddie Murphy in the 90s, therefore he's killing it. You know.
But so when he said it's not going to be a musical, I was like, that's a good choice.
Yeah, not being a musical.
I love all the musical numbers in the original movie, but I'm like, of course, I can see how Mulan on horseback with a sword going into battle, and then there's like a tune hits.
Yeah.
It'll downplay the action and the intensity and the epic levels.
Yeah, I mean, Christina Aguilera is still going to record a new song for the 2020 like she did for 1998.
We're not idiots.
Yeah, we're not idiots.
We're not idiots.
We know Aguilera puts butts in seats. That's been the case for years.
And Botox in faces.
Yeah, but it's I don't know. It's a baffling movie, and I think to demonstrate the most baffling part about this movie, we're gonna open up our favorite scene, which is the big battle scene.
So we have around, I would like to say, 2.5 to 3 minutes of this movie that we picked.
Yeah,
where we have so many questions. Nothing makes sense. Nothing.
Yeah.
They changed their minds of like the geography of the scene, where it's like, oh, here's a perspective here.
Yeah.
They can only see this, and then oh no, those rocks are higher this time,
and we should point out neither of us are filmmakers.
And this is egregious.
And this is egregious. Yeah, like
you don't need to be a filmmaker to go wrong.
No, I mean,
wrong.
When we watched it the first time, we had questions about the scene. But then when we sat down to watch the movie again, we were like, let's go to that scene that the two of us were like, that makes no sense.
And I remember being so confused. I didn't even spoke to you about it. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, what was that? And then when we broke it down together,
it gets worse.
We broke this down for nearly 30 minutes. And we're talking like maybe 3 minutes of a scene. But every time we rewatched it and paused it, we're like, wait, how? And multi-birds? And how's the everything?
We would find a new inconsistency, which would mean like, wait a minute, let's go back. Hang on, go back there. I want to see that original shot. It's like, oh yeah,
I must have missed something.
I must have missed something.
That makes no sense.
But it's like, no, those don't line up at all. What is happening in this film? You know,
and this scene is after Mulan reveals that she's actually a beautiful woman with flowing locks. I'm in love with her hair, I must say.
Even though like she comes into the battlefield and saves everyone, but yet later on when all the soldiers are around, they're like, oh, ignore that woman who looked like that man who was fighting with us. Where's that man who was training with us? You know, they all just forget that this beautiful woman came in and saved their asses.
And she's doing backflips.
She is.
She's doing all this crazy shit that people get scared of her greatness again.
Yeah.
And they go, which?
I mean,
and
look,
run off.
Even this empowering, like this fight scene's supposed to be empowering and everything, it's cut to pieces as well.
It is cut to pieces.
Like the whole movie is just, it's shot so poorly for an action epic. But anyway,
it is.
So the point in the movie we're talking about is at 1 hour and 6 minutes and 48 seconds.
48 seconds.
So if you're listening or if you're watching, Ian's probably going to put clips of it.
Yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put loads of clips of this. I might not put one long clip because that might be
copyright reasons. But if you're watching, if you're listening, we open up your Disney Plus app. We all know you have one.
You so have it. You have it on your phone.
Yeah, you have it on your phone.
Slap it up there.
You have different profiles for your family members because everyone uses Disney Plus.
Use your dad's one. He never uses it.
He never uses it. He's never on there. Okay.
Never.
You set his picture to a big fat baby. He hasn't changed it at all.
I've said to my dad, here's Disney Plus. I made you an account. Look at all these movies. And he's like, cool, Netflix.
Netflix, yeah. YouTube.
Sometimes he dips into Amazon. Sometimes. And he's feeling fancy.
He's feeling cheeky. Like, he dips into Amazon, yeah. But so we recommend you load up the scene. It's only like 2 minutes, but it just highlights all the problems with this movie, basically.
Once again, 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 48 seconds.
Yeah.
So the witch
has turned into her famous multi-bird form.
Multi-birds.
Yeah.
I was looking there.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a bum.
It does. Shout out, Jerry. Nice. She turns from a falcon into multiple birds. So she's not controlling the birds. She is the multi-birds. Which is an important clarification to make.
Because many minds at work here.
Exactly.
I want to know which one is the nucleus. The nucleus bird.
Yeah.
So we're on the battlefield here. and she decides to attack all of Mulan's buddies.
Mulans.
Oh, Mulan.
She attacks all the Mulans. Yeah, but she attacks them all, and obviously, what do hardened soldiers fear? Birds. Donnie Yen hates birds.
Non-scratching birds.
Non-scratching birds.
Not a scratch on anyone. Donnie Yen looks so fearful.
He looks
in this
so
moment.
scared.
He's like, oh, fucking birds! Get the shields up!
He's like, Jesus Christ, get the shields
Someone
up.
just stabbed me. Stab me.
He's like a grown man around a spider. But no,
so these birds, they're on the battlefield and they're fighting other men.
Yeah.
And except for Mulan.
Yeah.
And their swords, their shields, they're stabbing each other.
Yeah.
And these birds come along.
Yeah.
Non-scratching birds come along. Like, just picture this.
They don't kill a single bird in this. Like, they're slashing at them with the sword. So this is our
They
whole...
all take their little bug
swatting swords.
Down. They're like, oh no.
But this is what we mean, where it's like, oh, she's clearly invincible in this form because, like, these birds don't get damaged at all. By the way, this movie's 12 plus. Like, there's people get killed in it, but there's nothing substantial in there. You feel like you could show a few bird scratches for a 12 plus movie.
Most definitely. If there's people dying, like, we get to see arrows go into people's bodies, and they are clearly dead.
Yeah.
So we could have some scratches.
And Mulan did that.
We could have some little scabby scratches. Like, we're just talking. Yeah, Mulan, the hero, did that.
Yeah. So anyway, let's let the scene play it. So they all decide to form up into turtle shields.
Well,
the
first
Chinese
of all,
army.
They are freaking out. Donnie Yen is so scared.
He's so scared.
So they go into their turtle forms. They turn into... Right, so they're all protected now.
Yeah, they're like the shield tortoises, and they're blocking the birds coming down. And then the they're not Mongols, are they? I don't know who they are in this movie.
Bad guys.
But the bad guys bring out a trebuchet,
which is a massive rock slingshot.
Rock slinging. You've seen them in movies before. You know what they're talking about.
Oh, of course, these rocks are on fire.
Yeah,
and you can imagine now Mulan's buddies. There's like 4 groups of turtles.
There's 5
groups of turtled up soldiers with the shields.
Mulan obviously doesn't need to go in there because she's awesome.
So this battlefield hasn't a shrub, hasn't a rock, has not a bush, nothing.
It's a wide open plain.
And they show you this many times. So,
wide open plain.
So you can imagine there's 5 groups of men, of soldiers with turtled up with their shields protecting them, and Mulan is standing out on her own in a very nice radiant red.
Also, we should say that
and her beauty as well, which is distracting me anyway.
It is. It's a distracting
pretty
feature. Pretty woman. No, but
a pretty witch.
Pretty witch, yeah. But also, if you think, okay, well, it's a wide open area, but you know, the bad guys, it might be difficult because there's lots of people. The bad guys are in an elevated position. Yeah. So not only is it
the high ground,
not a wide open place, they have the high ground, so they're looking down on everything, which makes it much easier to see things.
Wide open play.
Wide open play. I feel like
we can, like, just from watching it, we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 factions of men turtled up. And there's
Mulan. And the movie wants you to see that.
And they show the perspective from the bad guy's side.
Yes, they do.
So we're playing it out. Mulan's like, oh my god.
They launch the flaming trebuchet. It lands dead
square. First shot.
Kills
from the slingshot.
Kills a fifth of the army.
It goes right in the center of the turtle. Destroys them. By the way, there's birds surrounding this. So many birds died.
Yeah.
But we've figured out that the mythology... Well, they don't explain it, but they must kind of explain it by just showing us this. The witch does not get damaged.
The witch is invincible. The witch is invincible in the multi-bird form. So later on, when you watch this movie and the witch gets killed, by the way, spoilers for Mulan. When the witch gets killed later on in the movie, you can also say, why didn't she multi-bird?
Why did she not multi-bird?
And tweet at Straight to Series, why didn't the witch multi-bird?
And we're only using the film's own logic.
Yes, we are.
That's all we're doing. We're fighting it with its own logic.
So anyway,
they're telling us now. No matter how many birds die, because clearly I would say 20 birds died.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to her.
Doesn't matter. She doesn't get injured. Okay, so a fifth of her friends
are wiped out.
And completely wiped out. First shot, by the way.
Yeah, first shot. So fair play to the bad guys. So Mulan's like, I need to do something about this.
Yeah, she's worried. She screams no, as you do.
The guys turn to each other and say, we're fucked if we don't move.
We don't move. So they have now decided that they're going to take flaming rocks. Now, these are huge boulders.
These are like kill you instantly rocks.
Oh, like the other people are soup now. One of those faction of men are completely soup.
Yeah.
They're brown bread, and they're still staying in this turtle form because they're still afraid of the birds.
Yeah.
That are non-scratching birds.
They're like, well, I don't want to be crushed by this big flaming rock, but I also don't want to get scratches on my face.
Now, I haven't seen anyone get scratched yet, but it's bound to happen to me.
Hey, listen.
I'd be the first one. It's always me.
I'd want those Jon Snow scars. You know, he gets the sexy, like, Raven scratch scars. And you're like, damn, I didn't know Kit Harington could get more handsome. But he can.
But he can.
Yeah.
He leveled up.
He did. He leveled up with those scars. But none of these guys want that, clearly.
Oh,
so they're loading another trebuchet. Mulan, she's trying to figure out what to do. Oh, there's a big mountain behind her. A very big, white, clear mountain.
Snowy mountain.
Snowy mountain.
It's a little parallel to the 1998 version where... Well, you know, let it play out.
Let's just say... When you watch 1998, the Snowy Mountain scene makes a lot of sense, and you would, since this movie had a perfect example of how to do it, you would think they would come up with something better or do the same.
Yeah,
they did neither of those things.
Yeah, so there's a big snowy mountain
behind the trebuchet
and the bad guys. All of the bad guys, they're all lined up,
who are in an elevated position looking down on Mulan. So, Mulan decides what she needs to do.
Just make a funky face.
Make a funky face. She does make a really funky face. We've watched the scene so many times now. She whistles for her horse,
who comes out of nowhere, because we've seen these establishing shots many times of this clear, wide open plain.
You would
see a horse. You can see everything because there's not a shrub, there's not a rock. It's so wide open, and her horse comes out of nowhere.
Another half of her friends were just wiped out by a cannonball. Second shot. So
not
these guys,
a full bullseye, but they still hit.
It's very important we establish that these guys do not miss with this trebuchet. They do not miss.
2 for 2.
2 for 2.
2 for 2.
2 for 2.
And we got to also remember that these guys also have bow and arrows.
Yeah.
And they're watching Mulan, who's separate from everyone, in a red. Actually, is one of the closest to them,
and is now getting on a horse. So
they would clearly see the horse run from up. It just appears.
Yeah.
And it just runs
like a video game. Yeah.
Exactly. It just runs across. They're all watching this easily because it has a good bit to run. That horse has a good bit to run. Like they have a minute of him just running to her and her jumping on. No one decides to do anything about it.
And she starts picking up helmets,
and they're all watching.
So now she starts galloping over to the left-hand side if you're the bad guys, and all of a sudden she's gone.
No, she's not gone. She has flanked them. I'm going to go back because I want to go... This is going to be real time, okay?
Yeah.
Real time, right? She looks at the snowy mountain. We have to go back, okay?
Yeah. She looks at the snowy mountain.
Whistles the horse.
Yeah.
Horse comes running in slow motion.
She gets on the horse.
She is now on the horse. She just mounted a horse and grabbed the helmet.
Grabs a second helmet. We see a wide open shot.
She has flanked them.
She's
completely behind them. That is real time there.
Yeah, that's what the movie is trying to establish. Wide open plain. And we have broken this down so much that they show us in the movie that the only way that she could flank them is to go all the way over to the left, which is a good 2 miles maybe, a mile and a half at least, then to come up and around all the way back. And she is also directly behind the trebuchet, so she doesn't come over a bit and just stop there. She gets directly behind the trebuchet, and she managed to do all of this before they reload for a third time. It's ridiculous.
It's outrageous. Yeah, it's egregious. You watch it and go, wait, what? Wait. Yeah. And when you first see her then behind the rock, you're like, oh, where's she now? Oh, she's completely behind them.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Also, you got to keep in mind that they watched her do this.
Yeah.
Everyone just watched her do this.
Yeah.
Off she goes. No one's going to fire at her.
Yeah.
And then didn't hear her coming around on a horse.
It's the quietest horse in the world.
It's a magic horse. It's also got super chi. It's a super chi horse.
It is. It's a super
chilled out horse. Did we not say that?
Super chi horse.
I see you have a problem with this. Let's make the horse super.
Hop on my back and spank me, love. I'll get you there. Super chi horse.
Now she's like,
So now she picks up her bow and arrow, which, by the way, where'd she get that? Oh, I assume it's on her horse. Yeah. Let's go.
Boom.
Then she kills a guy.
Straight up. Letting all the bad guys know.
Where she is.
Intentionally, by the way.
Intentionally.
She's flanked them.
Yeah.
She's behind them now, but she got all the helmets on a rock.
By the way, this is supposed to be like Mulan's I'm smart moment. But honestly, the movie...
She'd be dead.
She'd be dead. And the movie just diminishes it because it makes no sense as a scene.
So now She's after firing like 3 arrows.
Yeah.
Has got their attention.
Yeah.
So they all turn around. All the bad guys, every single bad guy.
And we decides to turn around.
And we find out that what she did with the helmets. By the way, we've seen her pick up 2. She actually had 6 helmets.
Yeah.
She actually did all of that while flanking them in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So she put the helmets on the rock, so it looks like there's loads of heads there.
Yeah, so it looks like a battalion of archers, right? Oh, so smart. She's so smart. She's so pretty. She's so strong. She best female ever.
So they all turn around, and we get to see from their point of view.
Not their point of view, not all, but the commander's point of view, which is very important because that will change in 30 seconds.
So we're seeing from his point of view, and we see the helmets. So he's like, helmets. There must be a faction of archers there.
Of archers there, and we see the landscape behind him, and
the big snowy mountain.
He has a very
blindingly white snowy mountain.
He has a very clear view of this mountain. He definitely knows that mountain's there.
It's right there, buddy.
It's right there.
We're looking at it. We have a pause. We're looking at from his perspective.
We're looking at his perspective, and the movie will later try and tell us that the rocks are up here, but from this angle,
and from up here, he means like way higher.
Way higher. Sorry, sorry
listening.
for someone listening. The movie is trying to tell us that these rocks are blocking the view of the mountain, but at this point, it is showing that is clearly not true, and it's showing it from the commander's perspective. So we'll let it play out a bit more. That we are so passionate about this terrible scene.
So now everyone decides, okay,
we're gonna fire on Mulan.
Yeah, forget the faction of men behind us. There's a lot of them.
They're dealing with those birds that they hate at the moment.
Let's turn around our slingshot, our flaming boulder slingshot, because we need to get these 6 men.
We do. So they start knocking helmets off. They're shooting arrows. None of them are hitting Mulan. Whatever. She's behind a rock. I get it. But listen, they never miss with the trebuchet. They know they never miss with the trebuchet.
2 for 2.
We're 2 for 2, baby.
We are 2 for 2. They're loading it up. They're painting it with petrol.
The guy who's doing it is so confident. He's like covering one eye.
He's like, I
don't even fucking need
this. Guys, watch this.
Yeah, watch this, baby.
I got this.
Yeah.
All right, they have it on fire, and they're gonna fire it.
They launch it, and now. In a pretty impressive.
All right, look, judging at the velocity of this flaming boulder, it would look like, from one perspective, it's going to hit the rock that she's behind.
You can even see, so the rock is the perfect trajectory where you see it reach its peak and then start to dip. Not only do you see it start to dip, but it is in perfect line with the rock that Mulan is behind, and you know it's that rock because you can still see the helmets on there.
But they swerved it.
They swerved it.
You can curl a boulder.
You can bend it like Beckham.
You can bend it like Beckham. Yeah. That's what we were saying. They got Beckham in and kicked a miniature flaming boulder and put that Beckham bend on it.
So you watch The Rock in this movie that is, pretending you're a smart audience goer, coming all the way, about to hit Mulan, and then it cuts from Mulan's angle, and all of a sudden it's 50 feet above her, was never going to hit her.
It goes, 40 foot away from her?
Not only...
Would you say, let's have a look here. That's a lot more than 40 foot away from her.
It goes from... It rises more, so it goes like it's going to hit Mulan, then it goes up a little bit, and then it looks in the arc above Mulan, it looks like it's coming down again, and then it rises up again to hit even higher on the mountain covered in snow.
If anyone's ever gone to a bad bar that has a dodgy pool table, and you hit a ball and you're like, oh, I got that right, look, that's going straight into the pocket, and it veers off, and you're like, dodgy table. This one, they think you're an idiot, and that once they change the angle, then the trajectory is all different now, and we're not going to compute that in our heads.
The movie is
we're fucking smart film goers, and all our listeners are smart film goers.
You're all smart people.
We ain't going to accept that.
The movie is just lying about basic geometry or basic geography. Everything. All the G words.
It's all a lie. I don't even think she's magic.
I don't even think she's magic either.
So what happens is, the guys who never miss just missed by a mile.
Spectacularly.
They really got this wrong.
Yeah.
I guess the first 2 were pure luck.
Yeah.
So this time they hit the snowy mountain.
And
what do you think's going on?
Well, it causes an avalanche. And Mulan notices it first. She's closest, so she noticed it first. She can feel the ground rumble. Then if we let it play out, she feels the ground rumble. She's like, oh, here comes the avalanche that I was
smiles
planning
to herself,
on.
a little cheeky smile.
Yeah, and this is obviously taken from the 1998 movie. So you see the avalanche start and the ground rumbling, and she runs to the left.
She runs to the left, which to me, it seems impossible because we eventually get another angle where the spread of this snow and from the scale. Do you know what the scale is? Changing by the minute.
It really is, and from this angle, you can see the shot from earlier where we saw the perspective of the commander. You can see that he should notice that this avalanche is happening.
It's a big thing, and keep in mind, all the soldiers turned around. Like
they were all looking at this.
They were so focused on this that they turned around their boulder slingshot. I'm never using that term that you call it because it's so fancy.
Trebuchet. I know you keep avoiding the word like the plague.
I'm afraid.
Okay, all right.
Don't sound silly. So, I wonder if the CGI, like the CGI artists that were working on this, I wonder if their heads were wrecked because a lot of times, at least from watching Corridor Digital, great YouTube channel that break down like visual effects.
I would love if they broke this scene down.
I'd love to because
I don't know how they do it better than us, but anyway.
It's that they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
But they always focus on how graphic designers and CGI artists, they have a great idea of like geometry and how things should look, and obviously sometimes depending on the director and the producer's ideas, like they kind of just have to twist things and be like, I guess that's what's going to happen now. Yeah. So this is one of those things where the scales are all over the place.
It's just everything's
Nothing
wrong.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we're nearly towards the end of what we're going to say because there's just so much to talk about. She jumps on her horse.
Who's now on the other side.
Yeah, so the horse obviously kept running as she was going.
But it's a very quiet,
the quietest horse
galloper.
ever. You don't hear it gallop. It whinnies, triumphantly.
It's a chi horse.
It's a chi horse.
It's a chi horse. She got it in the chi store.
She did, with the rest of her chi.
With her chi MasterCard.
So we'll play out the next scene.
Right.
Then the soldiers who are past the enemies,
her friends
start feeling the rumblings from the avalanche.
Bad guys still don't have a clue.
Bad guys still kind
of
like...
They're all facing this mountain.
They're facing this mountain. They
just watched her run.
They watched her run away.
And no one shot an arrow as well, by the way. We never even actually addressed that when we were watching this earlier.
No, we didn't, but as if that's the most egregious thing that fucking happens in this scene.
But they're closer to her again now.
Yeah, so none of this scene makes sense. Then we play it again, and now the commander starts noticing the ground shaking, and then he looks up, and the angle is completely different. He is looking at the same rock Mulan was hiding behind, and the movie is trying to tell us that was blocking his view from the mountain.
From the entire huge mountain.
When they already showed us his view earlier in the movie, as a moviegoer, you say, well, that's the commander's view because they showed a shot of the commander, then they showed the shot of the mountain. That's how you know it's his view. And now they're trying to tell us that no, he actually couldn't see the mountain, and they get blindsided by this avalanche.
Also, it moved them way closer to those rocks as well.
Yeah.
Like the scale, everything is all over the place. It makes it's nonsensical.
It's nonsensical.
And now here comes the avalanche, and it smacks them.
It smacks them.
Wipes out the bad guys.
So look, we started that scene at... Hang on, pause it there. We started that scene at 106.48. We're at like 109.35 now. It's like 2 minutes long. It just over. Is it 3 minutes?
It's just going to go on 3 minutes.
It's just going to go
on.
When
it hits 48.
Yeah.
48 seconds. It's going to be 3 minutes of just pure shite.
It doesn't even end there, but like I think we've said enough about this.
Now I just want to say now her friends are starting to run, so they're okay with the birds now. Because there's an avalanche.
Well, the birds are gone.
I will say, I would actually be way more scared. Well, I think the birds are kind of there. Like, they just left. I don't know. Either way, they're more scared of birds than they are... Oh, no, they're more scared of flaming boulders that will crush you and make you soup than the avalanche. And they're a good deal away from the avalanche.
Well, it goes birds... avalanche, flaming boulders. Flaming boulders just last, obviously.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the end of the scene. Look there.
109.48, we stopped it perfectly.
And that's where it kind of stops making sense. Even though, I will say, while the avalanche is going down, Mulan seems to be right in the middle of it. So we see all these other people die. But her horse doesn't even struggle.
No, it doesn't even struggle.
Chi horse.
Chi horse, yeah. As we said, it's a chi horse. So
it's using its special horse. Chi.
So, this movie's stupid. And if you want a better example of Mulan, watch Mulan 1998.
200 million.
200 million.
Bad kung fu.
I implore one of you to tell me where that 200 million went. I said it earlier, but somebody tell me where that 200 million went.
I can't find it.
I can't find it anywhere.
I can't find it. And before we move on, I just want to say Ang Lee was approached to direct this, and he said, "Nah."
He said, "Nah, I'm okay." Yeah, busy doing Brokeback 2. Yeah.
Brokeback 2.
Yeah.
Nice.
Brokeback 2 broke 2 back. Nobody is Bob Odenkirk's action franchise starter.
Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, Bob Odenkirk. Better Call Saul.
He is currently in the hospital.
He is currently in the hospital.
With heart issues.
Just to date this even more now. We've dated this.
Come on, it's a big deal.
It is,
It's a big deal. He collapsed
in
the middle of shooting season 6 of Better Call Saul. The final season, literally halfway through shooting the season. So I guess they're around 6-7 episodes deep. And he collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. And they haven't said specifically heart attack, but I think it was the Sun that came out and said he's doing well after a heart related incident, which translates to heart attack. He's a 58-year-old man, so
we had decided that we were going to review Nobody before all this came out. Was just it just so happened it was the same week. Like,
it looks awesome. Like, we wanted to see this for months, and we were like, if we're watching this, we're reviewing it on the podcast, because it's always been such a cool idea seeing Bob Odenkirk as this action lead, and he was so excited about it, which always gets us more hype for something. Bob Odenkirk, we were only discussing this before we did the podcast. He's the gift that keeps giving.
He really is.
He keeps progressing, developing his skills. Like, he was a comedian at first. Then he became a great dramatic actor, and now he's an action hero, and my God, he's believable. If you see him as Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad, you'd be like, he could never do an action movie. Oh, you were wrong.
You were wrong.
He's so good in this.
He put the work in, and it shows. And honestly, the more we talk about this movie, the more we kind of realize that this is redefining a genre. Like, you came to me and you said there's a certain scene in this movie, and we're not going to spoil it too much at all. We're just kind of
it's an action scene on a bus,
and
just the pacing, and how it's shot, and how the stuntmen take the licks. I'm like, it just feels a bit different. Just the way John Wick, the gun fu. I was like, okay, I've never seen gunfights like this. This is different.
I've never seen, an action. I've never seen, when you watch John Wick, it's like, oh, I'm watching an action movie, and the things are playing out, and it's not cutting. He's doing all these impressive things, and it's not cutting. And when you're watching Nobody, you're like, he's not cutting, and also these fight scenes feel kind of visceral and real
and brutal. It's all blunt.
People
force.
Are taking and giving licks, and people are reacting, especially the bus fight scene, because I think that's the scene that sells the movie almost.
But once you see that scene, you're like, okay,
I'm hooked.
I'm rubbing my knees and I'm fixing my belt. I'm like, I'm a little semi now.
You know that's
Bobby.
You know what that's straight to series code for: rubbing the legs and fixing the belt.
I rubbed them. Good.
I rub them hard. I rubbed right through my jeans.
My knees would be blue.
They would.
That's how hard I was rubbing.
Black with pain and man, rubbed them red raw. No. But he's just it's amazing. And
Connor drank. He's on his 5th can of Monster.
My 5th can of Monster.
Can you hear his heart down the microphone?
I can hear my heart in my ears. I don't want to look at my. I'm only on 77. I feel like my heart is beating faster than that. Has time slowed down? Where am I?
You're the squirrel in Over the Hedge.
His name's Hammy.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I love that movie. Yeah.
I enjoy it too.
RJ is the name of
Bruce
the raccoon.
Willis being a fun guy because Brucey is so fun.
He's such a fun guy.
He's such a Willis.
And he works for so cheap. You could get him to do anything.
He's the best.
Yeah,
he's the best. Some people say anyway.
Some people say anyway. But Nobody is Bob Odenkirk, who's a really good guy, a genuinely person who's beloved. You can see when he went into hospital, like, people were reaching out, like, everyone seemed to be saying, I hope he recovers. And Nobody is amazing, and I'm almost upset that I never got to see it in cinemas.
I know, me too. And it's like, let's see the exact runtime, because like, it's a tight 90.
It's a tight 90 minutes.
Like, it flies in. It's 92 minutes long. Connor rented it. He has it for 2 days, and you're already saying to me that you might watch it tonight because you want to get that second dip in.
I want to get I want to watch it again because it's so good.
I think you'll take it in better as well.
I think I will. Also, Mulan had a budget of 200 million. This had a budget of 16 million. The money on screen in this movie, like, I would have said it was more expensive than that.
Oh, it's stretched.
Yeah.
That money was stretched big time.
The director was the director of Hardcore Henry, which is that first-person movie that was like an amazing proof of concept action movie almost.
Yeah, it was a YouTube clip, wasn't it? Like a little, maybe 5-10 minute YouTube video that turned into a movie.
Yeah, with Charlotte Copley. Charlotte the prunes.
Multiple characters.
Playing multiple characters,
all more fun than the next.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, this movie, like, I don't know how they made it on a 16 million budget. Like, I know it is a short movie.
Yeah.
But my God, it is excellent. And we were saying, this is the evolution of the Taken genre.
Yeah, when I was watching this movie, it was so good that I was like, this is redefining what like an older actor doing an action movie means.
And we all know like the ripple effect of Taken, where it was the old assassin, or at least dangerous man who's out of the game, he's aged, and he gets sucked back in.
Pull me back in.
And there's so many different versions of this. I was looking through 3 Days to Kill was Kevin Costner's one.
Yes.
Sean Penn had the gunman.
Yes.
And there's more. We were both saying that Mel Gibson has had a few.
He's had a few
that are so like that, where The Edge of Darkness is one of them.
Yes,
that's one of them where his daughter literally gets taken or gets killed or overdosed.
No, I think she's kidnapped or something.
Is it? Either way, we know that there's like a Taken genre now.
Like, this was an action that was like, that was for people, that was like redefining what an older character, like an older actor coming in and being a badass in an action movie.
But we have our own idea about how we think Taken was just a perfect storm. There was a lot of luck involved.
Yeah.
Like, I think Liam Neeson was the main element there because he'd never really done that.
No.
And he's a very well-respected actor.
Yeah.
Like, now he has some dog shit action movies.
Because of Taken, though.
Because of Taken.
Yeah.
Like, we were saying one of the worst versions of Taken
is Taken 2. And an even worse version of that is Taken 3. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And can we scroll up? I want to call out half of the team that brought you John Wick. David Leitch. David Leitch produced this movie. He did a lot of the stunt work with his crew. 87 Productions. And
we should say that Derek Kolstad, who wrote John Wick, wrote this movie.
He wrote the
first 3 John Wicks, and oddly enough, isn't actually writing the 4th one. There was kind of like a big deal about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the guy who wrote the first 3 John Wicks wrote this movie, and you see the parallels.
Yeah.
But we were saying that we both never seen John Wick as like a Taken movie because Keanu Reeves isn't that. First of all, he's ageless anyway.
Yeah.
He was like 48 when he made it.
Yeah.
Like, Bob Odenkirk has never done an action movie, and he's 58.
Yeah. And he puts so much work into this. Like, the work that's put into this movie is all evident on screen.
And it's all evident from his hospital bed right now.
Well, yeah.
Possibly killed him.
I certainly hope not. But
like, he talks about how he put himself through the ringer.
He put himself through the ringer for like 3 years to do this, and so it was no slouch, and it was no. They didn't half-ass it, and you really shows on screen. And it's one of those movies where when you watch it, you're like, man, they put so much work into this, where you want them to get a sequel, but only if they're able to do it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Like we need the exact same team.
Yeah.
Like Extraction.
It's exactly like Extraction.
Same team.
Exact same team. If you guys want to make another Extraction, you should make another Extraction.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
let's not get any other hands involved.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those movies where you go back and watch the Bourne movies, and they were the seminal action films of their time. Everyone was like, new Bourne film. Look at the action in it, the fight scenes and everything. You go back now.
Cameraman has Parkinson's.
Yeah, it looks like it's Mulan. It's cut to pieces. It's shaky cam. It's all of this stuff. And now, when you look at modern action scenes, like even in the MCU or I don't know, The Raid and things like that, these are redefining movies. If you go back and watch Taken now, like, I don't know if it's going to hold a candle to nobody.
I don't know. But either way, it's its own thing.
Yeah.
And it was of that time. Like, I think it was pure luck. Well, not pure luck. No. But there was just a lot of. It was a perfect storm. There was a lot of elements that just kind of came together. And also, I don't know if people thought Liam Neeson would be that believable. Yeah. And he's so believable.
He's so good.
He's a big guy.
He is a big guy.
But not even in shape. Like, that's what's so good about it.
No,
and he just gets worse and worse progressively.
I mean, we used an example of Taken 3 earlier where he's climbing over a fence and it's cut to pieces. You know what I mean?
He did nothing.
This movie is so good. And not only is it a great action film, it's not afraid to take its time. John Wick, the first John Wick, is not afraid to take its time either.
Yeah.
And you appreciate that so much more.
And also, the first John Wick didn't make that much money.
No.
Like, it was a success, but it was a very modest success.
Yeah.
And Lionsgate went, do you know what? I think we can develop this.
Yeah.
They did a second movie. Much bigger success, but still not like crazy numbers.
Yeah.
And then the third movie pumped more budget in again, just progressively gave it a little bit more cash, and they got bigger and bigger. And now we're on the fourth movie, and they were at one point going to do 4 and 5 back to back, but then decided, you know, we'll just do 4. I wonder if mainly, I would nearly think that it has to do with COVID as well, because all the productions are now way longer.
Yeah. Especially if you're doing a lot of fight scenes. You know, that's a lot of close up. You know, close proximity. Got to be difficult to shoot with modern day issues like the pandemic and everything. But I want to just shout out one last thing before we talk about, you know, related to how much money it made.
Is this Back to the Future related?
No, it is not Back to the Future related. But Christopher Lloyd's in this movie. He's amazing. So is RZA in this movie.
Just shows up.
We happened to be talking about RZA on the way. We were going to watch the movie, and we ended up talking about Banks and Steel, which is RZA and the lead singer of Interpol. What's his name? Paul Banks. And we were like just talking about it on the car because we were listening to one of their songs, and we were like, "Oh yeah, RZA, he's so cool. He loves kung fu movies." And then we came home. Both of us forgot he was in this, and and you know, he's great. But Mr. Sunday Movies recently went back and watched the Iron Man movies, like the trilogy of Iron Man movies, because they are actually kind of an interesting trilogy because they take place at such early points in the MCU, but different points in the MCU. And he calls out this point, the two of them do, Mason and I can't think of Mr. Sunday Movies' name, and he's like the most famous one. But anyway, they call out that like those movies, they made money, but they didn't make that much money. And when people nowadays try and start franchises, they're like, why isn't it making MCU money?
Yeah.
The Dark Universe and all that stuff, they're like The Mummy. It was reviewed badly, but in their heads they're like, why is this not making MCU money? DC movies, why are these not making MCU money?
Well, here's something for you.
Yeah.
I'm nearly sure The Mummy made more than the first Captain America.
Yeah.
I'm so sure of that.
Yeah.
I think The Mummy made 400 million. First Captain America didn't even make 400 million.
No, but
it's an investment.
Yeah.
They see that there was the want for it, and you know what? It's like, here's the taster. Let them savor that taste for a minute, and it'll grow like John Wick.
Yeah.
And I want them to
I want
do
nobody
this.
to grow as well. As long as they want to keep making it, I want to keep on seeing this and supporting it.
Also, right, so the budget is 16 million. It made 56 million. This was
During
released
COVID.
in March 26th, 2021.
Yeah.
Cinemas were barely even open. We never got this over here. We got this just recently, and because it was out for so long, I'm sure there was a lot of pirating going on. It was out for like 2 weeks in the cinema over here, and like very limited even at that. Like there was like 2 screenings a day. But coming out on the 26th of March, like you got to think of Black Widow. And Disney pushed it back. Then it was going to come out in May. And they actually, I remember reading an article saying that they will most likely make another 100 million, if not more, if they pushed it back to July. Nobody came out.
Yeah.
To nobody. It really did.
Yeah.
So that 56 million is not at all a true testament to how much this could have made. Now, imagine this with a good marketing push.
Yeah.
Easily, well, it's definitely making more than 56 million. I would estimate it could have made an 80 million kind of box office return on a 16 million budget.
Yeah.
Investment.
You look at Rotten Tomatoes as well. This movie's sitting on an 84% critic review, 98% audience review, maybe lower.
I have it here.
It's like it's one of those movies that critics love, and you know they point out, like, because there's probably flaws in this movie, but the audience loves it. 94% audience score.
And that's what it's at. Over 2,500 verified ratings.
So it's tough for movie studios to do this, but during COVID, I think you have to. Don't focus so much on the box office. There is clearly demand for another Nobody. And having watched it, I completely understand why, and I am 100% behind it.
I need it.
So, Bob Odenkirk, we wish you all the best.
Please get better, please.
Everyone on the team of Nobody killed it. Fair play to you, Bob Odenkirk, for stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something like this, because you really did kill it.
You killed it, and
you did not half-ass it.
And you nearly killed yourself, clearly.
Yeah.
And I'm so greedy, and I think you're so talented that in my head I'm like, I want you to recover so you can make a sequel. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but you're that good that I'm turning into a bad person.
I know.
I'm just like, please get him better. He needs to finish Better Call Saul, and he needs to make another Nobody. Yeah. It's possibly a trilogy.
It's only 90 minutes. He can do it.
He can do it.
It's a 90-minute movie. No, but it's an amazing. So we recommend that you rent this movie, support it as much as you can, because it really is worth it.
Yeah. It's excellent.
It's for everybody, not nobody.
Oh my god. That's on the DVD right there.
Boom. That's straight to series on the back of the box.
Where I want my review of Mulan of throw a little bit of mud on there. Oh, and you got a tasty pie.
Throw a bit of mud on there. We're going to move on to the new segment that we call Kevin Lied to Us once again. And he has now doubled down on his lies.
Skinny Kev's at it again.
Skinny Kev's at it again.
So it turns out.
Fucking Skinny Kev.
That the Masters of the Universe fans is what's wrong with the world.
Yes, yeah.
How dare you dislike this, you scum!
Yeah, so we covered on last week's podcast that Masters of the Universe Revelations has come out, and we went into the backstory of this, but long story short, Kevin Smith, people found out that it was going to be a certain way, which was kind of a more woke, less He-Man centric story. Kevin Smith,
more Teela centric,
who's his supporting female character. Kevin Smith said no, it's not like that at all. The story's all about He-Man. Show came out, he's lying. He lied.
Completely
basically
lied. Like it's the opposite. It's exactly how it was reported. The rumors were true
by Clownfish TV, who he named and shamed on his Twitter.
Like he made fun of them, saying you're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong,
you idiots.
And then now
paraphrasing,
he has come out with statements and been on podcasts and everything. He's kind of been vocal, and he's just completely.
How deep is that hole right now? I can't see Skinny Kev.
I can't even see him down there. If he was Big Kev, I could see him, but no, Skinny Kev just fades into the walls down there.
Does.
Yeah, but he has he keeps doubling down on what he was saying,
and it gets worse and worse. He's blaming the fans. He's saying if you don't he actually has said that if you don't like his Masters of the Universe, then you're not a true fan of He-Man. That's a statement and a half to say.
I'll see if I can get the quotes up, because I believe I sent them to you at one stage.
Also, the term review bombing is being used incorrectly, because review bombing is when people in a toxic way go, I don't really want this movie to be successful, whether it's good or bad. So I'm going to review bomb it, as in I'm going to get me and a bunch of my mates, and I'm going to make some fake accounts, and we're all going to do it, and we're going to give it negative reviews, and they're illegitimate reviews. Where from what I'm seeing online, from many YouTube videos, all the comments, people on Facebook, people on Instagram, people on Twitter, they just don't like this, including ourselves. They don't like it. We think it's the wrong move to make. And now they're saying, and Kevin Smith himself goes, I've never been a victim of review bombing before. I've always heard about it, but this isn't review bombing. These are legitimate reviews, and they just happen to be negative because people don't like them. And I just want to say as well, I went through Rotten Tomatoes and looked at, now I didn't go through there's 3,500 reviews.
Why not? You've got time.
But I've just every once in a while I'll go through them and just have a look at a few of them, and they all seem so legit. Like there's only a few that's like, fuck you, Kevin, you're a bastard, and even that doesn't mean it's illegitimate. That just means someone's really passionate and maybe doesn't have much of a filter. But there's a lot of them that's just like, you kind of just ruined what I loved.
And you know what most of them start with, which is what's kind of sickening. You know, what makes me feel bad. Look, I'm not trying to be toxic, but this really isn't what I wanted.
Disclaimer. I'm not a misogynist. And you know what? Now it makes it worse, because that's literally what he's labeling people who don't
he's
like
labeling everyone like this. So he was interviewed by Variety, and Ian and I have just been sending Kevin Smith videos back and forth, because the guy is just like, he's the gift that keeps on giving, except I don't want any more. You know, Kev, just go away.
Just take it on the chin.
Yeah,
this is an L, and it's okay.
Yeah, and he's desperately trying to promote Clerks 3, because that's going to win the fans back, but nobody's letting him forget this, basically. But he said, I know there's some people that are like, hey man, this show's woke. I'm like, alright, great, then so was the original cartoon we're fucking sequelizing. Go watch it again. There are girls in every episode. As if that's the criticism.
I don't like girls in this show.
Deal with it. Smith added that it's interesting to see who is a hardcore fan, because anybody that's like, oh man, that's not enough He-Man or something like that, doesn't understand the show that we based it on. There are episodes where he lost the sword and he never became He-Man. It wasn't like He-Man always saved the day. His friends helped him. That was the fucking point of the show.
Yes, definitely. I agree with what he's saying about.
Me too.
That's not what he made.
No, that's not Revelations. And if you watch Revelations, you'll see the show isn't about He-Man. It's not.
At all.
It's about Teela and her struggle. She isn't even, to spoil the show, which we did in the last episode, she isn't even trying to like rescue He-Man or save He-Man or find or help him. She is trying to repair the Sword of Power, and along the way she happens to meet up with Prince Adam again, who they kill off in the first episode. On the last episode they kill him twice,
and Kevin Smith celebrated that he killed him twice.
Yeah.
And so she is angered, though. Yeah. She's so bitter because she didn't know that Prince Adam was He-Man. So when He-Man / Prince Adam sacrificed his life to save the universe, including her home, where she lives and breathes. So he saved her. He's her savior as well, and he did it with grace. Yeah. He dies. She's so angry that she finds it. Like, she's not sad. She's just fucking angry and bitter. Yeah. So when she sees him in heaven, they go to like Valhalla. I don't know what they call it in the show, but it's basically Valhalla.
It's heaven. They even call it heaven in the show as well.
Call it heaven. She's angry at him the minute she sees him, and it's been like 5 years. And now you're seeing the person who risked his life and was always a good friend to you, but never divulged his alter ego.
This one secret.
And we made a parallel there when we were driving here about Batman.
Yeah.
What does he say to Katie Holmes?
He says, it's something, I can't remember the beginning of it, but it's what I do that defines me, basically.
Which is what she says outside, the hotel when he's with Bruce, all the girls and all.
No, it's not when he's with all the girls. It's when he tries to kill your man.
Oh, when he's teenage Belle.
When he's a teenage Belle.
Give him a fringe.
Give him a fringe. Teenage Belle. Yeah.
Give him a fringe and an attitude.
When he's in the hotel. I love that scene in that movie. Sorry, just to get sideways. But when he's playing with them in the fountain and he just buys the fucking place, it's like, what are you doing, Bruce Wayne? But also, Bruce Wayne. But anyway.
But when he gives her that little quote, she kind of looks at him like, I've never been more in love. You're fucking Batman.
Yeah.
I love Batman.
She's like, Batman's the best.
Katie Holmes' eyeballs turn into love hearts.
Yeah,
She's
they
like,
do.
I fucking love you.
Yeah.
Her body's saying that. And
my mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes.
So Teela has the same moment, except this would be like if Batman actually died.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne and Batman died.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Katie Holmes being like, that bastard?
Sorry, he has the same moment with Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
Where in the third movie, in Rise, he goes like, sometimes it's as simple as putting a jacket on a boy who just lost his family. And then he goes, Bruce Wayne, and then he flies off like that. Like,
he lied to me.
But she has this reaction where, he sacrifices his life to save everyone. Eternia is left without its protector. And Teela says, fuck this, I'm not dealing with this, and goes off for 5 years. And then even in the TV show, like the more, because of this Kevin Smith controversy, I'm constantly thinking about this TV show. Reanalyzing it. It gets worse and worse each time. But in the TV show, they say, He-Man wouldn't have made that, Adam or He-Man wouldn't have made that sacrifice if he didn't know you were there, Teela, to look after things. Fair enough. But Teela fucked off for 5 years and just did her own thing where she was stealing and scavenging with her friend Andra.
Because she was lied to.
She had a bad reaction. So the show's own logic is like, no, he did that because he knew you were there. You let him down, really.
I don't like this, though. You're not allowed to have an opinion. Kev said this. Skinny Kev said, you can't have an opinion.
Like, Prince Adam should be...
You're review bombing right now.
I am review bombing. But
have you even seen the show?
Prince Adam should be pissed at her, and he's not, because he's a cool guy. But Kevin Smith, on a different podcast, also compared He-Man sacrificing himself to Jesus Christ.
I've seen that.
He did that. And then he said, like...
unintended, actually.
Yeah, and then he said, like... Listen, guys, I know you're not going to believe me because Sorry. Joke of the week. Yeah. But he was like, listen, guys, I know you're not going to believe me because people think I lied or whatever. But like, I swear to God, episode 6 and 7, they've got so much He-Man in it. He's like, episode 6 is like all the He-Man action, and then episode 7 has like, you'll think it's too much He-Man, and I'm like, that can't be possible because the He-Man I got in the first 5 episodes was as minimal as they come. Yeah. So, like.
We're still angry.
We're still angry about
We're
this.
still hot.
We're still hot about it, but we're only hot because Kevin Smith keeps bringing it up and digging this hole constantly.
I don't like the idea of him rejecting that people don't like it. Like I know there's loads of filmmakers that make bad movies. Like Michael Bay has made a career out of it. David Ayer is very inconsistent because he'll make a good movie and then punish you with another movie and then punish you again with another bad movie.
Yeah.
But some of these guys are like, it made a lot of money. There's a fan base out there. I know there is.
Yeah.
People like these movies and some people don't like these movies.
Sometimes you'll get people like Joel Schumacher, who'll apologize for a bad movie because they know they fucked up.
Yeah, you've George Clooney.
George
Clooney's like, I should never have been Batman. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Also, I kind of love those movies because of those kind of honest moments where they're like, you know what? It's terrible. And I'm like, yeah, it is terrible.
It is terrible, but come on. Yeah.
You did your best.
It's not as good as Batman Forever, which is a good movie, by the way. And everyone should watch Batman Forever. Schumacher cut. Give me the Schumacher cut. No, but seriously, like, Kevin Smith constantly doubling down on this, like, it's fueling the flames of this story. And I don't know, I'm very interested to see the second half of this thing, because I almost want it to be worse than the first half.
I know.
You know?
Now he's made me bitter. I wasn't bitter, and now I'm so bitter.
A part of me doesn't want it to be redeemed.
Yeah.
Because as you said, we're bitter human beings.
But also, if this second half redeems it somewhat, it's still inexcusable what he did for the first
it really
5
is.
episodes. Like it's nonsense.
Yeah.
It's pure nonsense, and it is a fuck you to the fans.
It is. And Kevin Smith is like, king of the geeks.
He is king of the geeks.
Prince of the nerds.
He's a people's champ. I've always thought of him. I don't even like a lot of his movies. I don't really get them. I don't know. I don't smoke enough marijuana to get them, maybe.
No, you don't. No.
But I've always just liked him because he's him.
I like
he just does what he does. And you made a very interesting point earlier this week to me where you're like, so he doesn't like the audience score. His movies live and die by the audience score, and usually the critics hate it. And now he did something so out of character where he went super woke and took a known commodity and twisted it into what a certain percentage of society wants.
Excellent answer. Yeah.
And now he gets lauded by critics who also, it's a dangerous place to be. Like, if you're highly regarded as a critic, if you don't like this, all of a sudden you're labelled with what Kevin Smith's saying, misogynistic prick.
Yeah.
You're a scumbag.
Yeah.
So the audience hate it. And now the audience are wrong. And the audience, all them reviews are illegitimate.
Yeah.
But when it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Like, you tell me Jane, Silent Bob have the critics going, give me another one. No, but the fans love it. It has a very specific fan base.
Exactly.
So, just one time it's turned.
Yeah.
And he's like, all the fans are wrong. And that's why you shouldn't support him.
Yeah.
I hate saying that because he's the people's champ.
I really do like Kevin Smith. I liked him as a person. I've always, he has this reputation since the 90s of just telling the truth, and that was what I kind of believed him for, he pointed out some of the weirder sides of Hollywood, and it was just him and his friend Jason Mewes just making movies together, and now he's turned into this guy where he's turned into Skinny Kev, and I just don't like him anymore.
Skinny Kev.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, to just wrap up, we're saying it is a woke show and everything, but it's even a bad example of a woke show, to be honest. Like, the show's messages are all mixed up and everything.
It's so mixed up. It's a very strange one, and the animation's beautiful.
The animation is beautiful. We should say,
great.
Yeah.
The score is great, and the first episode is excellent.
It is, yeah. The first episode. Watch the first episode, and then
He-Man's in it.
We'll tell you to watch if you should watch 6 to 10.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should move on to talk about the final thing that can't happen this week, which is Scarlett Johansson suing Papa Disney for all the money.
She's suing the Mouse House, and this is a shocker because it always seemed to be a love story. It always seemed to be such a great relationship.
Yeah.
I thought the whole Black Widow movie was like a love letter to the Black Widow character. We don't need to make this. It was long overdue, but it should have been made around 4 years ago. Yeah,
it should have been made when the movie was set, which is directly after Civil War.
It would have done so well.
It would have done so well.
It would have cleaned up.
It definitely would have been $1 billion movie at that time, I would say. Potentially beating out Captain Marvel for it. Maybe even diminishing the box office for Captain Marvel.
I would say so.
Because the Captain Marvel kind of paid off because people were looking for, the first MCU, female-led MCU movie. Yeah. And Black Widow, by all rights, deserved to be that character.
And I would say it's a better movie
Yeah, me
Captain
too.
Marvel.
It is a better movie.
I think it has some problems, but also I think one of the major problems is where it's situated.
Yeah.
I would think it would be better if it was more relevant.
Yes.
To where it sits in the timeline.
Yeah, the plot of the movie is kind of irrelevant too.
Because you can't make it too relevant.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
It's an odd one. It's an odd one. It's an oddly placed movie.
It's an odd duck of a movie.
But I must say, I've always been happy once I heard this was happening. I was kind of like, I like Black Widow.
Yeah.
And I loved her in Endgame.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I want to see this movie. Now, I was a bit let down, whatever. I never thought that this would be happening.
Yeah.
Because it always seemed like Kevin Feige seems to love Scarlett Johansson and is constantly saying this is long overdue. And I almost felt like this was a pat on the back, being like, thanks for all the work you've done in the MCU, because it doesn't fully make sense to make it now. It really doesn't. And they even had to do, that's kind of why I also think the movie, it kind of weakens the movie, because they still have to set up a little thing here and there, you know? Florence Pugh, like, she's new, she's going to be in future things.
She's great, but they really do. They're just throwing these things out there. And also,
which doesn't do Black Widow justice as a character, which is, it's annoying.
It's frustrating.
As a fan of the character and the MCU, I'm like, this movie needed to come out a few years ago.
It really did. And in saying that, Scarlett Johansson was a producer on the film, it feels like she had a lot of control over this movie.
It feels like she was super handsy when it came to the production of this film, because she even helped pick the director. Yeah,
so the impression we've always got was kind of an amicable relationship,
loved up, if anything. Honeymoon phase still.
And then all of a sudden it dropped, like last night as I was going to bed, that she sued. I was watching Nobody and I looked at my phone and I was like, Scarlett Johansson suing Disney?
What?
Yeah. So
also, taking the Mouse House to court is scary.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where we're just going to speculate about it today. Like, we can't even form an opinion on it, because there's just a lot of interesting questions being raised by this.
But when we say, like, break it down, just like the minimum stuff that we already know is that it's Scarlett Johansson and her team are saying it's a breach of contract.
Yeah.
That that Black Widow was released simultaneously in theaters and on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
As like premium access, because the whole thing is she was guaranteed 20 million no matter what, and then she had these very lucrative box office bonuses. So as in, like, say it hits the 200 million mark worldwide, she might get $1 million here, which we don't know the breakdown.
We don't know the breakdown, but it
does say it's lucrative. So like maybe it hits over 500 million, she'll get this big few million type of bonus.
And let's be honest, if it was a post-COVID time, I think people would be expecting this to make $1 billion. Certainly, financial people would be expecting this to make $1 billion. Whether it would or not is a different story.
I don't think it would, but I do think it would have done. It would have been a healthy enough box office return.
How much did Spider-Man Far From Home make?
Oh, $1 billion.
Was it $1 billion?
Yeah, I think it was like 1.1.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So that's the argument that they're saying.
Yeah,
her team is saying.
And also, that kind of adds to the whole thing of why it kept getting pushed back to try and get more and more from the cinema release schedule.
And I'll say there's even a bit more of a background to it, where her team came out and said that they contacted Disney in around late 2019 to 2020. I say maybe it was actually 2020, around the time of Mulan being released, or Mulan being announced as like, it's going straight to streaming.
Yeah,
and it will also be available in select theaters, whatever ones were open at that time, which was very few. So her team got in contact with Disney and said, "Here, this is if you do the same thing for Black Widow." We will have to renegotiate a contract, because that would technically be a breach of contract, because in her contract it's exclusive to cinemas first.
Yeah.
And they said that her team said that Disney got back to them and said, don't worry, it's only going to come out in cinemas. We're not going to do the simultaneous release. And then now they're saying that when it was announced this year that it was coming out as a premium access movie on Disney Plus, that Disney never got back to them about renegotiating the contract, which then would mean that they breached contract.
So then Disney came out and said, that's a pack of lies. You agreed to the contract. You knew this was going to happen. You are now looking to take advantage of the situation and are ignoring the pandemic, the effects the pandemic has had in the box office. So really, if you want to talk Mulan and Mulan mudslinging, there's some serious mudslinging going on. So Disney have come out and said you are lying completely about the situation.
And you're a bad person.
And
you're ignoring the pandemic.
Scarlett Johansson, you're ignoring all the people who are dying of COVID, basically.
Yeah, like they've been pretty...
They really kind of went after her with that one. And then, only today, like a few hours before we went on air, that's a funny thing to say, but Scarlett Johansson's talent acquisitions came back and they said not only is what Disney's saying not true, but they are clearly trying to slander and smear Scarlett Johansson's name.
And I will say, I do kind of agree with the slander part.
Yeah.
It does sound like Disney didn't have to throw that much mud, you know?
Yeah.
There's a few stones in that mud there. That's a stony mud right there.
Yeah, they're a corporation acting like a catty teenager, honestly, you know?
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, and they're really good at it as well.
So, who's right? Like, literally one side is saying it's black, and the other one's saying, no, it's white.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's going on there.
And it's super early days in this whole story.
So everything is speculation. And you gave me a good one where today where you were just saying, it's to you think that they renegotiated, but Scarlett Johansson's team was never happy with the new contract, and it was never, like, sorted out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's the only way I could see it happening
me too.
But now they're not saying that, though. They're saying Disney never even got back to them to renegotiate.
So this is the thing. Like, I find it hard to believe that no negotiations happened, that Disney just made that decision. That seems kind of crazy, almost,
that
you know?
That seems too illegal.
Yeah, exactly.
And too much of a mess.
As well as that, like, the House of Mouse is all about its image. It is all about how people perceive it. They've so much money that I feel like the amount of cases that they settle behind doors, closed doors and everything.
We've
no idea about the controversies caused in Disney or things they've tried to quiet and avoid. Like, the fact that this has reached the public is kind of crazy.
It's already gone too far.
This feels like it should have been a handshake deal behind closed doors. And
maybe that will happen. We don't know.
We don't know.
It just disappears.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing about it. Like, now that it's in the public eye, people will always be asking about it, wanting to know what happens. You know, there's going to be videos about, will Scarlett Johansson be in the MCU again or whatever? Probably not. Will Florence Pugh and all these other people support the MCU if they fucked over ScarJo? Dave Bautista seems to think they should have made a Drax movie instead.
So good.
Yeah.
Also, I think this is something that might happen more regularly now, because all these contracts are going to be somewhat breached and renegotiated for so many movies. Like, what about Mulan?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing is with Mulan, there's no actor big enough.
Okay, what about like Fast and the Furious? You know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, Vin Diesel's a producer on that. There's definitely bonuses, I'd say, attached to that.
Yeah.
But I bet because he's a producer and he at least acts like he's hands-on when it comes to producing it, I'd say he got a nice contract.
I'm sure he did.
I'm sure, but then other people, but the thing is, I bet he would be the only person of that team that gets a bonus when it comes to box office returns. So for other people, it might not matter as much. Where, like, from what Scarlett Johansson's team is saying, allegedly, all these box office bonuses were super lucrative. So she had a guaranteed 20 million, but maybe she was expecting to come out with double that. We don't know.
Yeah, she was gonna make a lot of money.
Yeah,
put it this way.
She already made a lot of money.
She stood to make a lot more.
Yeah, and I don't think it's wrong for her to, if what they're saying is true, then sue away.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If Disney was just like, oh, engage phone.
Yeah.
We're not going to
We're going through a tunnel.
But that would be crazy for them not to do it. And also, I recall, and I think I said it on the podcast, that when they were talking about the Snyder Cut being a miniseries, they ended up backing out of that mainly because it was a legal mess.
Yeah.
So they kind of start thinking about, will we just do it? Because that was the whole idea. Let's do 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah.
Make the Snyder Cut a miniseries because it's 4 hours long. It's very hard to digest.
Yeah.
So when they actually start looking to do that, they realize all the contracts would be breached because it's a movie that they made, not a TV series, and it's just a different legal
different
system.
Beast.
It's all different.
Whole different beast.
So they backed away and was like, we're just 4-hour movie. There you go.
Yeah. So look, we don't know what happened.
But it's interesting.
It's very interesting.
It's dramatic.
And we will definitely be talking about it next week on the podcast because there'll be so much more juicy stuff coming out, I imagine.
Soap opera that is Hollywood.
Yeah. Kev will probably have tweeted again and he'll have said something crazy. So there's a reason to stay tuned to Straight to Series. Plus, we normally have like great content, don't we, Ian?
We're the best.
We're the best.
We're the best.
And you should subscribe.
Modest.
And check out our Instagram and all that. Handsome. We look good in mud. I can tell you that from experience. Will we do Hunk and Skunk and wrap this thing up?
Yes. I forgot about Hunk and Skunk.
So, Hunk of the Week goes to Bob Odenkirk. Bobby, you killed it, nobody, my friend. Get well soon. We've seen you take a fake movie punch. We know you can kick the ass of anything you're coming up against.
It didn't look very fake to me.
It didn't look fake, no. And that's why I believe he can beat whatever's in the hospital. And Skunk of the Week goes to...
Skunk of the Week goes to Bob's bum ticker. His heart let... Get your fucking shit together, heart.
Get your shit together,
Bob's
Bob
heart. We're
Odenkirk,
speaking exclusively to Bob's heart right now.
That man is a national treasure.
Sort your shit out.
Sort your shit out. And on that note, we'd like to end Straight to Series.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you hear or see, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
We're on all the platforms.
Oh, we're everywhere. We're everywhere. We're on too many platforms. Some people would say. Yeah, and we will see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.
See you.